Welcome and good morning. My name is Carter Patterson, and I am the current chairman of the Forsyth County Commerce Board of Directors, and welcome to the 2020 Transportation Summit. Partnerships are the core of the Chamber's purpose. In fact, the Chamber's mission statement is to promote positive business growth and community partnerships to promote a superior quality of life. As the Chamber promotes a superior quality of life in Forsyth County, we leverage partnerships like the one showcased today. The Forsyth County Transportation Summit has been co-hosted since its inception in 2013 by the Chamber and Forsyth County government. It takes many partners to make a day like today happen. Look no further than today's agenda to see that. In fact, this all started back in 2012 when Commissioner Cindy Mills, Director of Engineering John Kennard, Chamber President James McCoy, and a few others at Commissioner Mills' invitation visited another community's transportation summit. The result of that trip has been 7 subsequent years of summits growing each year. Thank you, Commissioner Mills. I know you had a great lead in getting this going and played a central role in the development of today's program. I also want to thank all our Board of Commissioners for Forsyth County government, starting with District 1 is Molly Cooper, District 2, Dennis Brown, 3, Todd Levent, thank you, Todd, and 4, Cindy Mills, and our chairman in District 5, Laura Simonson. Thank you all. Our title sponsor today is Martin Marietta Materials, a member of the S&P 500 Index. Martin Marietta is an American-based company and a leading supplier of building materials, including aggregates, cement, ready-mix concrete, and asphalt. Through a network of operations spanning 27 states, Canada, and the Bahamas, dedicated Martin Marietta teams supply the resources necessary for building the solid foundations on which our communities thrive.
I am a plant manager.
I am a physical tester.
I'm a mine planning manager.
I am a concrete salesman.
I am a ready-mix driver.
Foreman.
Reliability engineer.
Cement plant manager.
Strategy and business development.
We are thousands of people across hundreds of locations in dozens of states. But together, we are Martin Marietta, and we are one. We crush rock and crunch numbers. We care for our environment and for our customers. And collectively, we're part of something greater, something special.
Martin's a great company to work for.
I come to work because I want to be here.
The job is different every day.
It comes down to happy customers, good products, and everyone going home safe.
It's about legacy. We've grown deep roots in the communities where we operate and built the foundation on which future generations will grow. We know the safe and ethical choices each of us make today will help us strengthen that foundation so that together we will share in the promise of tomorrow.
You always hear stories of the guys who came before us, and it makes you want to build upon that and leave something for the next generation.
You know, the person that came before me left a fantastic legacy when it comes to reliability, and I just, hope that I can do the same.
It's about truth. Our customers return time and time again because they know that a Martin Marietta employee's word means something. Honesty and dependability are the touchstones of our success.
If a customer comes here to get a product and we're honest about what we give them, then he's going to feel that he can come back here.
The more honest people are with what's going on out in the plant, the better everything goes.
It's about heart. We care for each other. We care for our communities. We work together to positively impact our world.
We have a big responsibility to take care of our community, our families, our future generations.
We're all compassionate. We're all driven.
I know at the end of the day, what I do is helping our community.
It's about all of us, together. One team, one purpose, one future. As we write the next chapter in Martin Marietta's history, what part will you play?
I am integrity.
I am excellence.
I am stewardship.
We are the community.
We are guardian angels.
We are
We are.
We are.
We are
We are Martin Marietta, and we are one.
Thank you, Martin Marietta, Materials, and all the entities who came together to produce this event today. Among community partners championing transportation are today's additional sponsors. I would like to recognize today's platinum sponsor, Beaver Toyota, our gold sponsors, Georgia Power, Renaissance Bank, and Cummings Cigars. Our bronze sponsor today is Smith & Howard, and our patron sponsor is Vertical Earth. Thank you very much. And now it is a pleasure to introduce Commissioner Cindy Mills, the Vice Chair of the Forsyth County Board of Directors. Commissioner Mills was elected in 2012 to serve District 4. She was reelected in 2016, and this November she will be elected for a third term starting in 2021. And as I mentioned, she is currently serving as our Vice Chairman. On the state level, Commissioner Mills has been very involved with the Association County Commissioners of Georgia, where she serves on the Board of Managers and Policy Council. She has previously served as chair of the General County Government Policy Committee. On the national level, Commissioner Mills serves on the National Association of Counties Health Steering Committee and was invited to NACO headquarters in Washington, D.C. for a small invitation-only roundtable discussion on emerging county-level strategies to prevent opioid misuse. Commissioner Mills is the founder of the Forsyth County Drug Awareness Council, works with community leaders on mental health and suicide prevention, and was awarded the Family Haven Humanitarian of the Year Award in 2017, and has successfully worked with the North Forsyth Rotary to put greenhouses at all the schools in the North Forsyth cluster to promote wellness and healthy living. In 2015, Cindy Jones Mills was the recipient of the Don Hendricks Partnership Award from the Forsyth County Board of Education, the highest honor a partner in education can receive. Cindy is the mother of 2 children, Megan Mills Bottoms and Courtney Mills Moore, and the proud grandmother of Brooklyn, Charlie, Maddox, Leanna, and Bryn. She is an active member of the Oak Grove Baptist Church, where she teaches Sunday school. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Cindy Mills.
Thank you, Carter, and good afternoon, everyone. Like many events this year, the Forsyth County 2020 Transportation Summit looks a little different than it normally does. And when we came together to plan this year's summit, we really debated whether to go forward with it, hence moving forward. We discussed the situation around us and were we going to let that deter us in having a summit. And, the question came up and we said, no, we're not going to let it stop us because we've got too many good stories to tell. And our community is moving forward and we're thriving and we need to tell the story. And we need to show others all the good things that we do have to tell. And we need to show people that we're not stopping. So I want to say a welcome to all those who are joining us virtually. It does look different, but we're still here. And as well as those that are here in person. We're excited to share what is happening with transportation projects in Forsyth County. We've got so much to tell. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like to recognize, Carter already has, all my fellow commissioners. I'm just the one up here speaking, but I represent each of them. We're a team. We're all in this together. Our chairman, Laura Simonson, our secretary, Molly Cooper, who's joining us virtually. Dennis Brown is our secretary. No, Molly's our secretary. I just said that. Dennis Brown was our secretary last year. And Dennis is going to be leaving us, but we're very sad about that, but we've enjoyed working with him so much. And Commissioner Todd Levant, who is our senior board member. He's been on the board the longest, and he is losing some hair. I would like to recognize our interim county manager, Doug Dare. He's back with us again. and we all love Doug so much. Our Deputy County Manager, Tim Merritt, our Assistant County Manager, Garen Coleman, who's going to be speaking with us in a little bit. And we want to thank each of you for joining us today. I'd also like to thank the Chamber for helping us make this virtual event possible. We've added all these cameras, we've added all these screens, and we've really became very technological on this event. And we really appreciate the Chamber for helping us make this be a first-class virtual event. Our board just returned yesterday from a 2-day retreat, and we spent a lot of time discussing economic development for our county. I can truly say that that is a real priority for our county right now, and that's what makes this summit so important, because we want to show our residents and our business community that they really are the true investors into Forsyth County, and we want to show them that we aren't sitting still, that our transportation projects are moving forward, that COVID didn't stop us. From that, we have developed this year's theme, Moving Forward, because Forsyth County is moving forward. Today, we'll hear from local, regional, and state transportation leaders on current and upcoming projects, as well as studies that the county's conducted to learn what transportation needs Forsyth County will have in the future to ensure that we keep moving forward. At this time, I'd like to introduce Forsyth County's Director of Engineering, John Kennard. John has served our county well for 26 years. He will provide updates on our local road projects. Thank you, John.
Hello, everyone. Glad that everybody is here today, and on those watching virtually. Appreciate y'all listening in. I'm going to try and give y'all a little update on our county road projects, our accomplishments over the past year, and things we are still working on and are to come in the future. We're going to start off by talking about some completed transportation projects. First one we'll talk about is a sidewalk project on McFarland Shallow Road. Recently had substantial completion back in August. That was a transportation enhancement project that we were able to obtain federal funds from GDOT to assist us with that project. The next project that we have is a sidewalk project along Sanders Road. We expect substantial completion on that project next week. So that's a success story for us and be an asset to those people in the community. Next project we'll talk about is a traffic signal at Post and Pittman Road that we were able to install this year. We had the assistance of the Georgia Department of Transportation in providing us with signal equipment for that. And it's a real important project, I know, for Commissioner Levant and his district, and it'll be it's a real success story for us. The next project we'll talk about is a roundabout at the intersection of Shallow Road and Shallow Crossing. That's a new roundabout that we had substantial completion on back in May of this year. Now we'll move on to transportation projects under construction. First project is Pilgrim Mill Road. It's a project that extends from the city limits to Holtzclaw Road. Construction cost on that's about $15 million. We expect that project to be complete probably in November, December of this year. So that'll be a tremendous project for the area, as you can see from the pictures here. Upcoming transportation projects, road widening, extensions, Ronald Reagan Parkway extension, project now that has notice to proceed is under construction. Notice to proceed was issued back in July. That project is price tag total is just a little under $60 million, but that'll complete our collector road system. which extends from the county line at McGinnis Ferry Road all the way to Ball Ridge and Marina Road. This segment that's under construction now will tie Majors Road to McFarland Road and complete that project. So that provides us an alternate route to Georgia 400 parallel to 400 on the east side of the road. The next project is an Old Atlanta Road widening project. That project right-of-way acquisition is currently underway. We anticipate that acquisition to be complete within the next months, and we'll be advertising that project for construction. So that's a project that'll be coming soon, and we'll have a update hopefully next year during the summit where it should be about halfway complete. Next project we'll talk about is Coal Mountain Connector. This is a project that we're funding with impact fees. It'll extend the roadway from State Route 369 across Settendown Road to Coal Mountain Drive. It's going to be a nice addition to Commissioner Mills' district. It'll build a roundabout on Settendown Road right next to our public safety complex and provide additional connectivity there, and will help provide some relief to State Route 9 and 369 as well. Next, we'll move on to mobility transportation projects, intersections and trails. First project we have is we got an intersection improvement project, State Route 9 at Oak Grove Circle. We have one parcel left to acquire on that project, and we'll be going to construction here very soon, hopefully, and anticipate completing that project by the end of the year. We have a GDOT encroachment permit to do that project, and so we're ready to go, and we're going to be actually doing that in-house with our in-house staff. Next project is Crossroads and Bennett Road. That project is an intersection improvement project, operational improvement, provide turn lanes. It has a 210-day schedule, and the notice to proceed was issued last week. So construction should be starting on that very soon. Next project, Campground Road at Dickerson Road. That project received a notice to proceed as well last week, and we have a 90-day construction schedule on that. We'll be providing right and left turn lanes at that intersection. So that'll be starting very soon as well. Next project we have is an intersection improvement that's at State Route 9 and Jewel Bennett Road. That project is a joint project with GDOT where we were able to obtain some federal funding. So each phase of that project will be 20% local funding and 80% federal, and it's currently under design and should be under construction within the next couple of years. A recently funded project by the Board of Commissioners is Trammell Road at State Route 20. We'll be going out for a RFP to get that design underway to build a right turn lane on Trammell Road at State Route 20. Next, we'll move on to sidewalks and trails. First project we have is a trail project on Pilgrim Mill Road. It'll extend from Holtzclaw Road to Tidwell Park, so it'll continue from the trail that we're currently built on our Pilgrim Mill Road widening project. It's a 3.1 mile project, and we were able to apply for a FLAP grant and obtain federal funding to assist us with the funding on that project. Next project is a Brandon Road sidewalk project that the board's approved funding for. We're currently getting RFP out for design on that project, and as soon as we get design complete, we'll move to right-of-way and construction, hopefully by the end of next year. Next project we'll talk about is Big Creek Greenway. This is an extension of our current greenway. It extends it from Johnson Road over to Sawney Mountain Preserve. It's about 4.2 miles total and should be complete in February of this year. And that'll complete our Big Creek Greenway, which currently extends from the county line up Kelly Mill Road to Johnson Road. It'll extend it all the way to Sawney Mountain Preserve real success story. Next, we'll move on to our cooperative transportation projects in conjunction with GDOT. First project we talk about is Post Road. That project is currently under design. We're moving forward with it as quick as we can and hope to get funding for right-of-way move forward as soon as we have right-of-way plans on that project. Next project is a State Route 306 widening. We're funding the design for GDOT on that project locally to jumpstart that project and have a commitment from GDOT that they'll move forward with funding on that project with state funds. And next project we'll talk about is a 369 passing lane project, which the county is also jump-starting. We're paying for the local match on the design on that project, and that project is going the federal process, so we're getting reimbursed 80% for the design on that project. Next project we'll talk about is McGinnis Ferry Road. McGinnis Ferry Road and the McGinnis Ferry Interchange. We'll talk about them together. They're two separate projects, but the interchange is a joint GDOT project. It'll have federal funding in it, and it's scheduled to be let in December of this year. We also have a McGinnis Ferry Road widening project that'll extend that project from Sargent Road and tie back to Union Hill Road. That project is a joint project with City of Alpharetta and City of Johns Creek, and we have an IGA in place now, and right-of-way acquisition is ongoing, and we're going to do a couple of phases of that project. We're going to split it into 3 phases. We're doing 1 phase in Alpharetta, 1 phase in Johns Creek. Those should go to construction next year. And last but not least, we have a Highway 369 project. It's a new interchange at Georgia 400 and widening from State Route 9 to Hammond's Crossing, State Route 306. And that project is under contract and pending contract with GDOT for a construction agreement. We anticipate that forthcoming and scheduling pre-construction meeting and issuing notice to proceed within the next month. That'll be a 36-month project, and we're really looking forward to that. It'll really change the area. Well, that completes our update. And so now I would like to introduce our GDOT Commissioner, Russell McMurray, and our District Engineer, Kelvin Mullins.
Thank you, John. It is great to be with you here today in person and virtually. I want to commend Carter and James for continuing the pace, as I understood, the 7th annual Transportation Forum, and to the Board of Commissioners, thank you guys for continuing the pace and the focus of how important transportation is for driving Forsyth County's economy forward, but not only Forsyth County, but Georgia's economy. So thank you all for having this opportunity. I also want to acknowledge our State Transportation Board Chairman with us in person today, Mr. Rudy Bowen. Not only is he your board member, but now he is the chairman of the State Transportation Board. That's a pretty good alignment, I'd say, for Forsyth County. So, Mr. Bowen, thank you for being here today. I can tell you, I can remember back 9 years of our first conversation, well, not our first conversations, but beginning to talk about what's going on in Forsyth County. And I can tell you, John Kennard could not have given that speech and presentation he just gave if it wasn't for the leadership of your Board of Commissioners, folks like the Chamber, and your business partners across the community to drive transportation projects forward. I must say that was a very comprehensive list of all transportation users, from trails to roads and everything in between. And I know we're going to have a discussion about transit as well. It takes all forms of transportation for communities to be successful, so congratulations to you. My goal today is to share some regional significant information with you and then hand it off for a little bit more of a specific Forsyth County focused projects that are underway or upcoming. So let me jump into this first slide. This is not my EKG or my heart rate, But everywhere I go, people say, what's going on with traffic with COVID-19? Well, this is the tale of the tape. This is traffic volumes across the entire state of Georgia. The goal line is a little bit of the the goal lines are state routes. The sort of gray dark line is interstate traffic volume. The heavy horizontal line is compared to the same day last year. So as we look at our transportation traffic across the state, we have seen the worst of the worst back about Easter. That's that low trough you see on the left side of your screen, where we were down some 40 to 50%, sometimes even 60% off of what traffic volumes normally are. And we've worked our way back now as the state, somewhere between 10 and 15%. It's sort of up and down. Some of those spikes you may see are holidays like July 4th or Labor Day in there. But generally speaking, Metro Atlanta has continued to sort of drive down this number. These are averages. What we see around the rest of the state is traffic patterns back to near normal, if not normal. And on our interstates, truck volumes are actually higher than normal compared to last year, and that's due to the supply chain sort of reorienting itself. So I just wanted to get that out of the air so that I don't get asked 10 times before leaving, hey, what's going on with traffic? It's really a good story. It shows the economy is coming back. It shows that we're getting out and about. As we call it, a little bit of a Friday pattern. People may not go commute into work in the morning, but they are getting outing about during the day, and weekends certainly are sort of looking like normal. So let me transition from there to sort of the headlines as we think about transforming mobility across all of Georgia, but in particularly sort of Metro Atlanta and Forsyth County, which you are now part of course. And we're going to continue to build on our success that we've previously enjoyed from our express lanes by building a system of connected express lanes. But before we build that system of express lanes, there's some other work that's very important that must be done. And before I move into that, was just sort of highlighting the success we've seen. And Chris Tomlinson, the Executive Director of the State Road and Tollway Authorities here, I don't want to steal his thunder, but what we've seen on Northwest Corridor up in Cobb and Cherokee was truly transformative. Over an hour savings of commute time each way. And also we're seeing savings of time and speed increases in the general purpose lanes. And so we want to continue that message and that philosophy as we deploy a connected system of express lanes here up 400, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but really have had great outcome. Obviously, COVID has changed commuting patterns, but as that previous slide I just showed you, traffic patterns are coming back very strong, still in a COVID situation. So let me talk about the first puzzle piece necessary to build this system of connected express lanes around 285 and up 400. And it's the Transform 285-400 project that you see today as you travel through that busy interchange. And as you now see that it's not just the interchange at that location, it's 6 miles of work on State Route 400, it's 4 miles of work on 285, and we're well underway. In fact, completion is forecast at the end of next calendar year, maybe into the spring. So still a lot of work to be done, but I wanted to share with you just some of the size and magnitude of that work. Some 32 bridges are being constructed, 16 sound walls, building a divergent diamond interchange at Abernathy, replacing Mount Vernon Bridge, and also, as John talked about, all forms of transportation, building a shared use path through that interchange, believe it or not. So connecting to the existing trail system. So again, trying to focus on all forms of transportation. So this project's moving along quite nicely, and I wanted to just share with you some neat photos. I'll try to advance. Somebody could advance the next slide, would be great. While that works, I just wanted to sort of talk about this update. This is facing south, and this shows you the complexity of that interchange. This bridge that you see front and center is about 8 stories tall, some 2,500 feet long, and then when we get to use it is going to be very soon. So you're going to hear it here first, is that next month in October, toward the end of the month, as you go and approach 285 to go back toward 85, you will be able to use this new ramp that you'll exit in advance of 285. In fact, you'll exit back around Hammond Drive and then use that big flyover bridge to access 85, which comes back in at Perimeter Center Parkway. So that tight red loop ramp that's shown on the screen goes away, and I think you all know what a challenge that was to try to navigate that location. So very excited, wanted you to hear it here first. Again, on the next slide, we can see the work that's going on building the second half of the Mount Vernon Bridge overpass. You can see Abernathy in the foreground, or in the foreground there. Again, building a divergent diamond interchange to improve traffic flow on Abernathy as well. But again, I think these aerial photos from drones show you the complexity of the work that's going on. So another thing that has to happen is we have to replace the bridges on 285. So bear with us. This is going to take a while. We would expect to start some of that work at the end of this calendar year, and we'll have to move 285 to the outside to replace the bridges on the inside. So a lot of work coming up. And I like this final slide because it's a great transition to the future of what transportation mobility is improved into Forsyth County. This is at the MARTA North Spring Station looking north, and you can see the rail where the rail ends there. And of course, this project extends up to Pitts Road currently, but it is the beginning of the 400 express lanes. And so I just wanted to update you on where those are. And here's the rendering at that same location of what it looks like with the sort of the dark black and or dark brown, and the black lanes are the express lanes. So very neat to see how this project's coming together. We are moving very fast. In fact, we are in procurement. We had 6 proposers on this public-private partnership project, some $1.4 billion project, for them to design, build, finance, maintain this 16 miles of express lanes, which include 4 express lane interchanges and 4 express lane merge points. But those are very different than what we have on 85. There's actually a separate merge lane that happens where you merge in and out of traffic on 400. And again, 4 express lane interchanges you can see. So this reaches up into Forsyth County. It ends just north at McFarland Road. And a lot of great things going on at McFarland Road, right? So great to see. We're underway buying right-of-way as well on this project and doing the preliminary engineering. The environmental is very substantially complete, and we're working forward with that. We anticipate construction in year 2022. Again, it's design, build, and a completion in the end of 2026. So a lot of work to go on. We've been engaged with the public just like we're doing today virtually. We've had fantastic feedback. Please, if you can take a screenshot of that or go to just our website and Google State Route 400 Express Lanes, you can get a lot of information. Also regionally is some other projects going on that just, again, our focus on freight, mobility, and logistics, and that has all changed now that we're ordering everything arriving on our doorsteps from a logistic point of view. We have 2 major interchange projects at I-20 and 285. This one on the east side of town is very much like the 400 285 interchange project in the fact that it extends miles on 285 and miles on I-20. So this project will be getting underway as well early in 2022, construction complete in 2025. And then we have the same thing on the west side of town on I-285 and I-20 on the west side, which is notorious. Some of the highest truck freight volumes in the entire state occurs in this area. So rebuilding these interchanges actually does have an impact on freight flow that may have an impact on what arrives on your doorstep in Forsyth County because this is the freight distribution area of Metro Atlanta. So very excited to have that. Now let's focus a little bit more on Forsyth County, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Kelvin Mullins, who is the district engineer in the Gainesville District, which is the 21 counties in northeast Georgia. I've known Kelvin his entire DOT career. He is a native of northeast Georgia and a Forsyth County resident, even more important. So I got a feeling he may be on your speed dial. So Kelvin, please give us an update of the projects in Forsyth County.
Thank you, Russell. It's good to be here actually in person today, so I'm glad to be here. I started March 15th as district engineer, and this is actually my first in-person meeting of a group like this, so it's good to be back. Can you advance? There we go. So just real quick about District 1, we are the 21 Northeast Georgia counties. We have a district office on Jesse Jewell Parkway in Gainesville and 4 regional area offices around the district in Gainesville, Athens, Carnesville, and Cleveland. And we got a great staff here at District 1 to assist these counties on their transportation needs in the district. There's been a lot of talk about projects today. I'm going to just focus really on 3 major corridors in Forsyth County. Can you advance the slide? First is State Route 20. So we got big improvements coming here. This was going to be this is between Canton and Cumming. We'll be widening this to 3 lanes in each direction with a raised median all the way to Canton. There's one segment already in construction on the Canton side over there at 575. There's 2 projects in Forsyth County, one starting at North Corners Parkway, extending to Post Road, and then there's a segment from Post Road over into Cherokee County at 369. These 2 segments represent an improvement, total improvement value of $308 million, and they're scheduled, both of those are scheduled for construction summer of 2022. So coming up, this is a big improvement on State Route 20. Next corridor is State Route 9. So we have, on this slide, I've got 3 projects or segments of State Route 9 in Forsyth County. The first one in red begins at Fulton County line, goes up to McFarland, and then the green is from McFarland to Post, and blue is from Post to 141. So this will widen 141 to 4 lanes with a raised median. All 3 of these are on the same schedule, so summer of 2021. So coming up soon, next summer, there'll be construction on these 3 segments. And there's also a couple segments in Fulton County that I think we're getting bids on this month, so they should be started in a couple months on that segment too. These 3 projects is about 7 miles of improvements and represents a total investment of $115 million. So another big improvement for an important corridor here in Forsyth County. Advance the slide, please. So there's one more segment of State Route 9 that we're also working on. This one is picks up where the other one left off at 141 Bethelview and goes up to State Route 20. Basically, it's between exit 13 and 14. Same thing, 4 lanes with a raised median. This is about a 3-mile section for $55 million. And it's a little further behind than the other 3 segments. So this is summer of 2022, so about a year behind the other 3. And lastly, Mr. Kennard already mentioned this one, State Route 400 interchange at McGinnis Ferry, another important corridor. So this is a new interchange between Windward Parkway and McFarland. So it'll be a new interchange there, full diamond with some auxiliary lanes north and south, and then including some widening. And Mr. Patterson spoke earlier about partnership. This is a great example of partnership with Forsyth County and Georgia DOT. Forsyth County providing the preliminary design, preliminary engineering, and purchasing some of the right-of-way. GDOT's purchasing part of the right-of-way, and GDOT is handling the construction. This is an improvement of about $67 million total improvement value. So definitely an important project. Coming spring of 2021, so we're expecting bids late in the year, December or January, and then should be under construction in the spring. So very excited for this project. And that's all I have for project updates. Again, if you have any questions about these projects or any other projects, please let me know. I'll be happy to get that for you. There's my email address. And please follow us at Georgia DOT Northeast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and we'll provide updates there for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Roy Rickert, and I'm the director of the Forsyth County Public Transportation Department. Public transportation plays an important role in any growing community. On average, every dollar invested in public transportation has a $4 economic return through increased business sales, higher property values, and job creation. Travel through the use of high occupancy shared ride vehicles reduces air pollution, increases fuel efficiency, reduces traffic congestion, makes the roads safer, and increases mobility, especially for those who have no other options. As the county grows, planning for public transportation suited for our community is vital for success. Link Forsyth is a year-long study being conducted by Kimley Horn to create a comprehensive public transportation master plan for our community. This plan will address the system as a whole and will include operational development opportunities as well as capital priorities. This will assist Forsyth County officials to set policies and leverage funds in order to provide high-quality service and addresses the transportation needs of the community. Not only will this study provide valuable insights for near-term improvements, but will also act as a roadmap for how we can develop public transportation as the county continues to increase population in the future. I'll now turn things over to Eric Bosman from Kimley Horn to provide you with more detailed information about the Link Forsyth study. Eric?
Thank you, Roy. And as Commissioner McMurray stated earlier, it takes a complete transportation system to really serve the full extent of needs for Forsyth County residents, not only today, but as we look into the future. And so it's a pleasure to be here today to talk about Link Forsyth, Forsyth County's first ever public transportation plan. And as part of this effort, there's really three fundamental questions that we're trying to answer. We're trying to understand the needs of Forsyth County residents and where are those mobility needs within the county and how do we better serve them? How do we build upon the existing public transportation services in Forsyth County to enhance and improve them? And how do we look to the future to think about our commuting patterns and leverage the creation of the Atlanta Transit Link Authority to tie more closely into our regional transit system? Now, this process began at the beginning of this year in January, and we started by completing an assessment of the existing public transportation services in Forsyth County today, and then working with your leadership and stakeholders to establish a series of vision and goals. We're in the midst now of identifying needs throughout the county and beginning to define both short-term and long-term goals for how to improve existing public transportation services and plan for future mobility in and around Forsyth County. As we've met with your leadership and with your systems, with your citizens, there are three fundamental goals that we've been able to uncover. One is to enhance quality of life by providing a true multi-mobility, multimodal network throughout the county. Second is to provide balanced accessibility so that all citizens of Forsyth County have a way to access goods and to pursue economic and educational opportunities. And the third is to make sure that we're recommending a system that is highly productive, that we're using our limited resources wisely to provide a system that is both effective and efficient, both today and in the future. So let's talk a little bit about the three current public transportation services that are available to Forsyth County residents. The first is a dial-a-ride service. Now, this is available to any Forsyth County resident, but it is recommended that you have an advanced registration, that you call in advance to make a reservation. The system is available by appointment Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., and the cost is $2 per trip. Now, last year, we found that it was difficult to provide for all of the requested services in Forsyth County. And so the county entered into an agreement with Uber and Lyft, known as Common Courtesy, to provide services when dial-a-ride is not available or when all the dial-a-ride services are booked. And in 2019, that service, both Common Courtesy and the dial-a-ride service, provided over 23,000 trips in Forsyth County for residents. The second public transportation service that's available in Forsyth County today is very similar, but it's provided through our Senior Services Department. Senior Services provides transportation also available to all Forsyth County residents, but targeted towards senior adults. Also, trips must begin and end within the county. The service is not provided outside of county boundaries. It's also $2 per trip, although there are some low-income options available. And our Senior Service Department does provide day trips where transportation is provided for various excursions and shopping trips, both inside and just outside of the county. Now, these two services, both the Dial-A-Ride and the Senior Services, are in the process of being consolidated in the county's new Public Transportation Department under Mr. Rickert, who you heard from moments ago. In addition to these two services that are provided by the county, Forsyth County residents also have access to the state's express bus system. And you'll hear from Chris Tomlinson shortly. This is provided through the State Road and Tollway Authority. And there are 3 routes, 2 within Forsyth County and 1 that is Forsyth County adjacent. The 2 that are provided within the county both begin at the Park and Ride in Cumming. One route goes to Perimeter Center, the other to downtown Atlanta, and then a third route along Georgia 141 that goes from Johns Creek, just outside of the southern border of Forsyth County, down to the Chamblee-Marta station. Now, these are one-seat rides. They're only provided during peak commuting hours in the morning and in the afternoon, and the cost per ride is generally $4 for a one-way trip. Now, building on those 3 services that are provided today, let's talk a little bit about where the level of need is and who's using these services in Forsyth County. Today in Forsyth, 11% of our population is age 65 and older. Almost 1,500 households in Forsyth County do not own or have access to an automobile. And another 4.5% of Forsyth County's population has some sort of disability or mobility challenge and under the age of 65. So when you total all of that up, it's approximately 15% of Forsyth County's population, almost 1 in every 6 Forsyth County residents that could exhibit some sort of mobility challenge and need a way to access goods, education, and economic opportunity beyond a vehicle that they drive themselves. And one of the key aspects of this study has been to determine where those needs are located throughout the county. So we've created a transit propensity map, basically a fancy word for where are the greatest areas of need within Forsyth County. So where do our seniors live? Where are the highest pockets of employment? Where do our individuals with disabilities and mobility challenges live? And where are our low-income populations located? And by locating where these highest levels of need are, generally the central portion of the county in and around the city of Cumming, and in South Forsyth near Fulton County, we're going to be able to look at how to provide services more effectively and more efficiently. And if this is where our levels of need are, it's also very important that we understand where is it that they need to go. Where are our commercial and shopping districts? Where do they go to get their groceries? How do we get folks to recreational opportunities, health care, senior centers and other public services, as well as higher education facilities? So by linking where our residents are to where they need to go, we're looking to provide those services now, enhancing what we have on the ground today, and also thinking about how we provide them in a more resourceful manner in the future. And when we think about the future, we can't forget our commuting patterns, not only within Forsyth County, but outside of the county. Approximately 75% of Forsyth County's workforce gets up and leaves the county to go to work every day. That's 80,000 Forsyth County residents who are using our major roadways to access jobs in Fulton County, in Cherokee County, in Hall County, in Gwinnett County, and all the other places that show up in blue on this map to my right. In addition, there are another 56,000 workers that come from another county to access jobs and to help commerce and our economy work in Forsyth County. So that's 136,000 cars a day that are coming in and out of Forsyth County. And with growth that's happening in our Atlanta region, we expect that number to grow in the coming years. So at some point, it will make sense for Forsyth County to not only provide intra-transit services within Forsyth County, but also think about how we link to our neighbors in other jurisdictions. Now, January of 2020 was probably not the best time to start a major effort like this that requires public engagement. But as Commissioner Mills said earlier, we have persevered through, and conducted most of our engagement virtually. That's included 2 virtual public meetings, a series of conversations with our seniors and our current transit users, meetings with our Forsyth County commissioners, as well as with other service providers, and also an online and paper survey that is bilingual, distributed both in English and in Spanish. And to date, we have received over 700 responses to that paper and electronic survey that has gone out. And what's been striking about the responses is how similar and consistent they have been. How much our Forsyth County residents and leaders understand that there is a level of need for mobility services to help people get to work and to economic and educational opportunities. That we need to focus on our senior populations that are growing and at some point will reach a condition where they're no longer able to operate a motor vehicle, and that we're focused not only on our commuting patterns today and tomorrow, but also highly stressed access to health care. Because not all of our health care services that Forsyth County residents use are in Forsyth County, but many are just across the border in Hall, Gwinnett, and North Fulton. So we're going to be relying on our regional partners to help us understand how we can get across some of those artificial boundaries to make sure that we can connect our residents to the goods and services that they need. As we move forward, we're looking at both a short-term game plan and a long-term game plan. The short-term game plan is really focused on these Center 2 services, microtransit and demand response. So smaller vehicles that are more flexible, more nimble, and can connect those populations of need to the places that they need to go. And as we think about the longer term and the continued growth of our region, we'll begin to uncover where those commuter patterns may be and how we can provide services to help get people off of the roads and get to their destination more quickly and efficiently, and potentially some sort of high-capacity transit, although more than likely that's going to be restricted to the Georgia 400 corridor, potentially building off of the improvements that the Department of Transportation and our neighbors to the south are completing. So the Public Transportation Master Plan will be completed in spring of 2021. We'll have a second round of public engagement that will happen in the spring. Hopefully we'll be in a condition to meet face-by-face at that point, where Forsyth County residents will be able to look at the draft recommendations and help us prioritize our move for the future. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to work with Forsyth County's leadership and with your residents to think about how we're going to provide mobility services to those that want it and to those that need it. And it's been a very exciting opportunity to work with your newly formed Public Transportation Department as well, as we team with the other branches of Forsyth County government to provide a complete mobility solution. Now, to talk a little bit more about what's happening from a regional perspective, I'd like to welcome Chris Tomlinson from the ATL and the State Road and Tollway Authority.
So good afternoon, Forsyth County, and thank you for this opportunity to really highlight not only the work and partnerships that we've had for many years when people think about the express service that you just heard Eric talking about, but to really have an opportunity to highlight the new partnerships, or some of, I'm going to call them the hidden partnerships that we've had for several years. Again, my name's Chris Tomlinson, and I'm the Executive Director of the state of Georgia's 3 mobility authorities, the State Road and Tollway Authority, the newly formed Atlanta Region Transit Link Authority, and the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. And as I go through, you'll get to understand a little bit about what each one does, but more importantly, how Forsyth has built a winning track record of leveraging its partnership with the states and the programs that we have. I want to build off the theme that you heard from Commissioner McMurray, you heard from the studies and plans that Eric just mentioned. As a region, we're focused on becoming multimodal in our approach and really mode agnostic. It's going to take every form of transportation in order to address the needs of Forsyth County as well as the entire region. So whether we're talking roads and bridges, whether we're talking transit, whether we're talking about working with our partners at Uber and Lyft, everything is coming into play. And so you'll see this common theme of being multimodal in our approach. and mode agnostic, because there's a need for every single one of these modes in order to make everything work. And I'm fortunate to run an organization that has multiple tools, multiple offerings that are all designed to help address our mobility needs. Many of you are familiar with Peach Pass, and of course the tolls that used to be in place on 400. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that are coming that Commissioner McMurray mentioned with the express lanes. But then some of you may not be familiar with some of the transportation financing functions and programs that we have, but I'm happy to say that the staff and the transportation staff at Forsyth is very familiar and has done an excellent job in leveraging those resources. But back to Peach Pass for a second. So, some people don't realize, but as we sit here today, there are over 1.1 million vehicles that have a Peach Pass on them, most of which are located in Georgia. We conducted in 2019 over 20 million trips on the 4 express lane facilities that exist today. These numbers are bigger than most people realize because depending on where you live, you may only have the need to utilize only one of the express lanes. But as Commissioner McMurray talked about, and I'm going to cover, there's many more facilities coming because this has a winning track record of helping address our needs, but it's also opening up some new opportunities and new partnerships. So what you see on the map there is an overview of the region focusing around 285. We have express lane projects on I-75 Northwest Corridor going up to Cherokee County. We have the I-85 express lanes. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's coming on Georgia 400. We have the I-75 South Metro Express lanes, which are located about 10 miles south of the airport. This has been a winning program in terms of what people think of express lanes and helping move people through our region's congestion. But what you also see on the map are all these blue Ps. These are the locations of our existing park and ride network that is utilized by Express and also utilized by some other local providers. So as you can see, we already have a multimodal system. But what we're doing now, what we're doing with our partners at DOT, is how do we better leverage these new projects? One, so that we can be efficient in not only the design, but the construction. So we don't have to come back and disrupt traffic any more than necessary to add in additional features. And as you can see, we have projects planned for the entire upper hemisphere of 285 as well as on 400. We're leveraging the proven success of where we've married up these different technologies in other locations. And Commissioner McMurray gave a similar slide showing the success on the Northwest Corridor. The transit service sped up so much that we actually had to redo all of the schedules because we're arriving 15 minutes earlier than what was in the schedules. So when we talk about the Georgia 400 express lanes, even though the northern termini is really just at the southern end of this county, we are already thinking about how it will improve the existing transit service that we have from the Cumming Park and Ride lot. Will it give us new options? Can we expand service? What will make sense? So we're very excited to look at this project, which is primarily in Fulton County, but then partner with Forsyth, look at the results from the transit study to see how do we provide even better service to the county. So when we start focusing on the express lanes on 400, we're also working with our partners at GDOT and MARTA on a new form of transit technology called Bus Rapid Transit. This will be high-speed service in that corridor. And as you can see from the map, most of those locations are all in Fulton County. But this opens up a future of possibilities for Forsyth. Even without this BRT service in Fulton County, these lanes will improve the existing express service, and as I said, open up new possibilities. So again, we're even multimodal in our approaches, even when we're talking within the same segment of transit. To get ready for these and many other improvements, we are upgrading a lot of our systems. For those of you who have a Peach Pass account, in November, we'll be launching a major upgrade, our biggest upgrade in the past 10 years to the system. It's a new back office system, which means most of those changes are under the hood. But people see better billing, more options, et cetera. But more importantly, it's opening up new third-party connections. We're proud to partner with the airport, and the airport is finishing completion of their west parking deck. It's going to be their largest parking deck on the airport proper, and when this deck opens, starting approximately in January, February timeframe, if you have a Peach Pass on your car, you'll have the option to just drive into the airport, park, take your trip, come back, get in your car, drive out. You're already running late. You don't have to fumble for a ticket, look for it when you come back, and you'll just see that activity on your Peach Pass account. This is something that we're looking at not only doing at this airport deck, but now we're starting to receive calls from others who are interested in this, parking garage folks. We're talking with resort destinations. Even gated communities are saying, you know, a lot of our residents already have this in their car. Can we use it to open and control and provide gate access? People want to tap into the fact that there's already 1 million+ vehicles that have this technology. We want to tap into the fact that this helps us get Peach Pass accounts set up so that when new projects such as the express lanes open, people are ready to use them from day one. The other thing we're doing is we're entering into a partnership with EasyPass. If you're not familiar with EasyPass, that's the predominant tolling system in the Northeast. So today, if you have a Peach Pass account, you can drive on any toll road in Georgia, Florida, or North Carolina. Sometime in 2021, when we're fully connected, including Georgia, your Peach Pass will work in over 18 different states and 1 province in Canada. This is going to open up ease and convenience for our residents, and this will give people options, even if they fly out of town once people start flying again, and want to just go ahead and even in a rental car utilize their home account. So we're really excited. But when this is in place, along with our partners in Florida, the entire eastern seaboard will be connected as far as toll roads and traveling as far west as Illinois. We have other tools, and Forsyth has been able to leverage it. We run what's called the Infrastructure Bank. And over the past several years, Forsyth County has leveraged grants to move many of the projects that John talked about earlier. Forsyth, I'm proud to announce, has had about accumulation in grant awards of almost $4 million and put it to work on all these projects. And you heard about them earlier, so I won't go back through them at Union Hill, Pilgrim Mill, and the upcoming work on Ronald Reagan. And Forsyth is not only an excellent partner, but an excellent example that we use to point out to other municipalities and counties to look what the partnership can do. You heard a lot about Express. I will just say that prior to the pandemic, the service coming out of the Cumming Park and Ride was always steady, consistent. We're looking forward to when those days return. In preparation for that, we're doing improvements to the fleet, but we've also done many improvements to the park and ride lot itself. We've replaced all the crumbling curves with granite. We've landscaped. We're trying to bring this to the quality that Forsyth County residents are used to and expect. You guys set a high standard. We want to be able to meet it. And so you can see many improvements, bike racks installed, et cetera. I'm going to skip through the developments of regional impact because that's not something that really is facing the average citizen. But instead, I want to talk about and wrap up on the ATL. This is our new regional transit planning organization. And we're very proud to partner with Forsyth County as well as the Kimley Horn on the work that you're doing on the study. This will help feed in and make sure that Forsyth's priorities are reflected in the region's plans, and then we can work at the regional level to make sure that there's adequate funding to fulfill those items as they are identified, and Forsyth County makes those critical decisions on what they want to move forward on. We also put out an annual report and audit. This will show all the different services that are happening in the region, and it's just a wealth of information that honestly is of interest to everybody in the region, but it's become a useful resource for our partners at the federal level who want to have a better understanding and a forest level view of what's happening in this region. I won't go through all the different results that we're seeing from the regional transit plan due to time, but there's some very interesting things coming in the 2020 update. Instead, what I'd like to do is point out on this slide, we are taking this show on the road to talk about the regional transit plan and the updates. And in October, we'll have a meeting, a virtual meeting online, where you can hear specifically about the projects that are happening inside of Forsyth County. So we encourage you all to go online and participate. Having to go virtual because of the pandemic actually makes it easier to reach a broader amount of people, and so we're very excited about that. So in closing, we're going to continue to leverage the three mobility authorities that I head and work with our partners such as Forsyth and GDOT to continue building a more seamless transportation network. We're proud of our relationship with this county. You're leading the way in terms of leveraging state resources to deliver for your local citizens, and we're always happy to come and be part of this summit. So thank you very much.
So thank you all very much. As we move into the panel discussion that I'll be leading, and I'm James McCoy. I work with our Chamber of Commerce here in Forsyth County, and certainly want to thank everybody that's been a part of our program today, but also particularly want to thank our Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Mills. It's hard to imagine that it's been 7 years of doing this, and back in 2012 when we took a little field trip to go see how another community was doing this, it's hard to imagine that we would be here and doing a production like this today. And speaking along those lines, as most of you can tell, this is not a Zoom call. We have partnered with our friends at Signal Production, I'm proud to say, a Forsyth County company who has really helped us produce this event, and what you're seeing now is all a result of their great work, and I really want to thank them and thank the Rotary Club of South Forsyth County, who has partnered with us for, I think, all 7 years in making this event happen. So we've asked Garen Coleman, Chris Tomlinson, and Russell McMurray to please join us on the panel. And so this is always my favorite part of the program because we get to talk a little bit, and I hope no one felt inspired by any performance last night on the presidential debate, because I'm hoping that our discussion will be a little more productive and engaging than that. So the first really two questions, I'm going to ask them both really together, but are for all three of you. And the first part of the question is, what do each of you consider to be the three most significant challenges facing for us in transportation over the next 5 years at a local, state, regional, and national level? And what do you see as being the biggest change that we can expect to see in transportation in the future? And so I'll start at the end, Commissioner, with you.
Yeah, thank you. And so, very good question. We will not try to interrupt you as moderator and talk over each other. So, yes, we recognize that. As I think about the three challenges, the first is just keeping up. And when I think about keeping up as a state level, regionally, and then specifically here in Forsyth County, we know that the Atlanta metropolitan region, including Forsyth County, is going to grow by about 2.9 million people, which is, I think, I've copy Chris Tomlinson here, that's about putting Denver inside of the metro area. And as we look to 2050, Forsyth County's share of that is almost 250,000 people. And so when I say keeping up from a transportation point of view, that means state of good repair, keeping the existing infrastructure we have in a good condition, and then also being able to expand and keep up with the demands for increased traffic. As you heard about the number of people entering Forsyth County every day and exiting to go to work, is again, how do we keep up with that demand? Which brings me to the second challenge point, is being able to keep up requires revenue and funding, and being able to make the strategic investments such that we can keep pace, that we keep the great economy of Georgia going and Forsyth County. And as we've talked about earlier today, it's all knits together for a strong economy of having good transportation infrastructure. And this is foundational for all users, as we've talked about in transit already today. So being able to have that funding is very important. And as we sit here today, this is the last day of the federal transportation bill that expires, a 5-year bill that expires today. Guess what? When I checked just a minute ago, Congress has not solved that yet, but they will, and they're going to solve it all the way to December 11. So that's hard to plan for transportation infrastructure of the size and magnitude of projects we've talked about today. So some certainty in funding certainly is critical as a challenge, and knowing, especially at the federal level, again, I think Georgia is a great example, and Forsyth County is a great example of helping themselves in leveraging partnerships with each other. I think we've demonstrated that today by all these great projects that's been talked about. So that's it. The third one is sort of falls into the challenge and also the opportunity, is technology. Because technology is truly transformative in transportation now, and I like to say that this is the most transformative time since we went from horse and buggy to car in the era that we're in now, and that means a lot of good things, but it also means a lot of challenges, as you heard from Eric about micro-mobility and some transportation solutions that have yet to be imagined or yet to really be deployed, which changes the way things operate. So there's a huge safety benefit on technology, a huge benefit of leveraging technology for efficiency and effectiveness, but also that becomes a challenge as well, as how do you respond and be nimble to accept that technology.
Very good. Thank you. Chris?
I would normally, when I'm asked that question, the answer, the top three was funding, funding, and funding. I am going to change it to congestion, COVID complacency, I'll come back to that, and then, of course, still funding. Congestion, the first and second go together. The congestion's coming back, and if you haven't seen it on the roads, it's coming. I worry about people making decisions, as Forsyth is reaching out with this transit study, for example, on what they're seeing immediately today with the lighter traffic, et cetera, and becoming complacent instead of thinking down the road. As Russell already mentioned, more residents are coming. We're seeing on the roads, like I said, it wasn't his heartbeat, we're seeing that traffic coming back. We have an opportunity right now. If Mother Nature cleared out our congestion garage with the pandemic, how do we not allow it to get as congested as it was before? What are the investments that are more important than ever that we need to make so that when we're through this pandemic, we're ready to go forward? And then, of course, a third one, and how are we going to pay for it? Because there's still limited resources. What are the investments that the county's going to make, the state's going to make, and the federal government?
Thank you.
So I am going to say funding, funding, funding. No, definitely. I think the National Trust Fund, Transportation Trust Fund, I think the gas tax was set back in 30 years ago and hasn't been adjusted. So there is a definite concern at the federal level of how we're going to fund all this going forward, because federal funds transfer down to the states and to the locals, as you heard, all the projects that we have that are jointly funded. And those can range from sidewalks to intersections to major road widenings. So that's certainly a concern. One of the major challenges, I think, is going to be delivery of the MMIP program. It's so vitally important. both from a revenue source, from the tolls, but also for the mobility that we talked about today. Locally, our challenge is going to be keeping up on our arterials and collectors. Not only just widenings, but doing intersection improvements, lane extensions, additions of turn lanes, as was mentioned earlier. All those projects allow you to get more throughput through your existing infrastructure. And then technology is going to be a big one too. How are we going to adjust for autonomous vehicles as they start coming online? First on a limited basis and then fully autonomous. How are we going to address that in construction areas, right, where everything's changing at the same time? I can only imagine how much throughput we could get if we do go fully autonomous, and we can have a whole train of semi-trucks going down the interstate. So I think those are some challenges we're going to have coming forward.
Very good, Karen, thank you. So, Commissioner, you mentioned something in your answer that I want to dig into just a little bit regarding technology. And so, and Garen, you mentioned the autonomous vehicles, and I'm sure there's things that we are not even aware of as the general public that are in process. And of course, we have a great relationship with GDOT and an initiative that we executed this past year with technology a challenge event that we hosted that went incredibly well. But could you dig into the discussion about technology a little bit, and particularly now that we're overlaying a bit of health concerns on it, which I think we're all very hopeful will be short-lived in terms of how we're dealing with it today. But how do you see transportation being impacted by technology, by health concerns, particularly, Chris, around transit? And then how do you think Forsyth County can best position itself within that framework of changing technology and health concerns?
Yeah, thanks, James. You notice how I let you ask the whole question? Didn't even interrupt.
And I appreciate that, Commissioner, very much.
So, you know, I heard this the other day, and as we think about how technology really transforms and changes very quickly, as my kids were younger, we told them never to talk to anybody on the internet, never deal with that, and never get in a car with a stranger. Now, what do we all do when we pull up our apps to take a rideshare service? We contact a stranger via the internet and then hop in the car with them. So think about that paradigm shift of what we taught our kids to how technology has changed how we operate. But I do want to commend the Chamber for the technology initiative you have here with Scott Evans and the team here, which has created a tremendous partnership. I'll get it wrong. It was a technology challenge. We called it a hackathon to basically share our transportation data with the private sector such that they could figure out how to make things better for us. And we actually had a winner, had competition from across the nation and the world at that event, and now we're doing analytics out of our cameras at intersections that really count cars and know when cars are present, but they're able to use analytics to do some predictive modeling and make signals more efficient. Just amazing. So the technology is really changing things. The one most encouraging part for technology for me is safety. Is the technology in vehicles gets better, and we have a big initiative now to put technology in traffic signals that talk to the cars as they approach traffic signals, so that the car and the driver will have a notice of what the signal is doing, how much time is left before it changes to yellow and then to red. And, you know, it's a visual cue now in a lot of the model lines, and especially some of the Ford and a few others in 2022 will be sort of standard issue in their infotainment package to have that technology to talk to signals. So Georgia has really taken a big step forward to deploy. We'll have over 2,600 signals, mainly in the metropolitan part of Atlanta, and then we're expanding that for other purposes as well. As a big benefit is transit, and that transit will get prioritization through signals. The bus and the signal talk to each other, and if the bus is behind or needs to get through, it can get through. Same with a fire, emergency EMS. But also we're talking to our logistics partners around the state and our friends at the Georgia Ports Authority about freight movement and prioritization of freight movement. And there's a company that's got these brown trucks that drive around based in Georgia. You know, we're talking to them and trying to show the economic return that if you don't have to stop and start so much because you can time those signals perfectly, there's a great return on investment. So the technology is coming very fast. One of the things, and we've been very fortunate to partner with a national and international scan. One of the things we hear from autonomous vehicle industry is what they need the most are good roads, because it's hard for an autonomous vehicle to really understand a pothole. And so hitting a pothole at full speed is not pleasant no matter what kind of vehicle you're in. They need good stripes on the road, and they need good signs. And so those are sort of the basics as humans that are good for us, and that's why I said sort of keeping up is very important. So that's just as important for us as human drivers as it is as we evolve into autonomous future that is very close to being here.
Thank you. Chris?
Picking up on the technology theme, our regional transit plan, the update that we're doing, over 31% of the projects included some type of transit signal prioritization. So Russell's correct, and he stole my thunder. Not only is that going to help transit work better, but a lot of people aren't thinking about what it can mean for first responders. Those seconds, those minutes saved, and this technology can not only hold a green light, but you can set a prioritization, hence the name, to turn that red light to green so that ambulance can keep moving. So again, leveraging this technology for multiple purposes. 61% of the transit projects that were turned in include some type of safety feature. Some of that is double counting with the transit piece, but some of it is in-vehicle information systems so that you know that there's a bicycle or pedestrian in the area. And you're going to see this technology in both passenger vehicles, but it means a lot for also all public safety systems, public transportation. Everything is going to continue to move towards a smart app and apps, everything from, we're doing a pilot right now with a company so that you can buy transit products from your phone. You don't have to talk to anyone, you don't have to touch anything that isn't yours. You're going to see more of that. And then to your specific question about how technology and what we're doing, especially in this pandemic era on transit, we just put in new video systems in the entire fleet. We used it, one, to explain proper etiquette and social distancing, et cetera, to deliver messages. But we can use these same systems to give safety messages. We're going to be using these systems to explain how we're trying to, how we are cleaning the buses and trying to raise people's comfort levels. So technology is just part of the DNA of everything that we're doing now.
Very good.
So I'll touch on the transit piece. Locally for us, one of the apparatus we had to start using when COVID came on was a aeroclave system. So it's actually like a fogger system. You come on a bus, or a cutaway, I think is the actual term, Roy. Roy will slap me if I say the wrong thing. So, but you go on the bus and sterilize it with it. And who would have thought, 3 months ago that we'd be doing or training our drivers to be able to operate an apparatus of that sort. But also looking at just the PPE to be able to communicate with people. We're looking for the cutout mask where they actually are clear so you can communicate with people who are hearing impaired and the elderly who have a harder time hearing sometimes, so they can actually see your lips moving. So just having that communication in this current pandemic has been a challenge for us locally. But certainly I want to build on some of the things we touched on earlier with the technology, particularly for traffic management systems. Currently we have a coordinated system within the state that's on State Route 141. There's different levels you can take that to, but we're also talking to the state about expanding that on one of our local corridors. So that's something we could potentially consider, the board could consider in the future to fund if we can, show the bang for our buck. And I think you can. Those systems go from time-of-day plans to being traffic responsive to the top end being traffic adaptive, where you're actually doing the sensors above and below the signal and adjusting signal timing to maximize the throughput. And the other one's signal preemption for your public safety, which we talked about.
And I want to do an unplanned interjection like last night's debate. But Russell and I spent a lot of time talking about how the construction projects can be leveraged to put in future infrastructure, be it broadband and other things. And so he might want to comment on that.
I wasn't going to speak over you, but I was going to say, very good. So, yeah, and indeed, we have to contemplate the future, and it's very difficult. I was on a call earlier with this week with Orlando's planning organization, and again, reserving funds in the future for technology because it's coming so fast. I mean, we are doing some very experimental things that you would never have imagined. One of them is leveraging technology that's used in gas or petroleum pipelines where they monitor vibrations to look for breaks or leaks in their gas line. We've applied that technology to our fiber network along the interstates, and now we're getting data that we feel that can indicate when and where there's a crash immediately because of the change in vibration. And so instead of waiting on the 911 call or our traffic operators that are using the cameras and sort of making sure what's going on and looking at maps and using cell phone data that shows where traffic's getting congestion, we can almost get immediate and almost exact location. So, I mean, things like that you just can't imagine. So we're pushing technology, but you got to have that fiber for that example to work. You got to have fiber in the ground for that to work. So we have to continue to think about how do we deploy the current technology and be ready for future technology.
Very good. Thank you. So just a couple of quick questions, and we'll wrap up here. And really, Garen, I'm going to come back to you to at least start the answer for this question. So as the county continues to grow and we continue to focus on economic development and growing business investment in Forsyth County, what does the next phase of funding new transportations projects look like, and what do you consider the priorities among those projects?
So for funding-wise, I just wanted to take a minute to tell the voters we appreciate you approving SPLOST to begin with, because all of our SPLOST have a transportation piece to them. We've also approved a bond back in 2015, which was instrumental in changing our local infrastructure as well as leveraging some of the state projects that are happening in our jurisdiction. So that without those funding sources, you know, I'd be remiss not to recognize our local elected officials for their vision to bring that forward. Now through the state, you can actually go forward with a specific transportation SPLOST. So, I mean, that might be something we could consider in the future as we look at potential funding avenues. But as far as specific projects, I think we have McFarland on the books for a potential widening design coming forward. Any of these major corridors that connect to Georgia 400 are essential, and especially as, you know, coming out of this transit study, once we get done with that, we can look and see where we could potentially build multi-mobility into those avenues. So.
Very good. Thank you very much. So the last question that I have, and really it's probably either Garen or Russell, and this is just came in a few minutes ago, but it's a question we get a lot at the Chamber, so but it's very straightforward, and that is there does seem to be a lot of landscape work going on 985 and 400, and both in the medians and the roadsides, and it is changing the look of those corridors tremendously, and cleaning those up and out a bit. So could either of you speak to that and what we can expect and kind of the rationale behind that, and what we could expect to see in the future, more of that, or where that's headed?
I'll jump in and start from the state perspective, and you've seen it along, like you said, 985 and along 400, and it's really the beginning to reclaim the roadsides for safety first and foremost. There is obviously intrinsic benefit of beautification and cleaning things up, and, you know, having nice, tidy appearance, which is very important as well, because it does make a difference. 400 is the gateway in and out of Forsyth County, so very important for that. But we're seeing right now about 56%, excuse me, let me back that up. The highest percentage of fatalities are people that run off the road or run out of their lane. But run off the road is still the highest. And those are usually single vehicles. So when people run off the road, the next thing that is the contributing factor to their unfortunate death is hitting fixed objects, which are generally trees. So we're trying to recover the roadsides as they were originally designed, such that if you run off the road, you're not going to hit a tree and cause a significant harm to you. So that's the emphasis, is safety first and foremost. It does have a secondary benefit. We appreciate the partnerships with many, with CIDs and communities that also may go in and do some landscape along the way. I think Peachtree Parkway 141 is a good example of that. You know, again, partnerships it takes. We do get asked often on some of the interchange that have extensive landscape. Well, how you doing that? Well, that's not us. Those are usually community improvement districts. So we partner with them and are very thankful for them, and thankful for partnership with cities and counties that also do some mowing and the like. So that's the emphasis there. Will we see more of that? Yes, you will continue to see that. We are trying to work statewide on interstates and freeways first and foremost, and we're working on secondary routes as well to try to get the tree canopy that's hanging over the road. And because when it gets to be winter and the sunlight doesn't hit the road, sometimes they get icy and slick, and we like to be able to keep the roads open during those times.
Very good.
So locally, we're going to have a special call work session, I believe, very soon. I'm looking at the side over here on Commissioner Mills on this very issue. So we get a lot of inquiries about that. We do have some tools in our toolbox. We've recently put in a state route litter cleaning contract in place, so we are going by and picking up monthly litter to supplement the work that GDOT's doing as well, doing their mowing and maintenance and litter pickup. And we've also worked with Kelvin and his group in putting in an as-needed mowing and maintenance schedule that we can also do on a route-by-route basis. And we also work with the sheriff's group. The sheriff's office has a crew that comes out and does work, and we also have a state crew that does mowing and weed whacking and litter pickup. So there's a whole facet of that. We also need to explore avenues with a new CID and see if there's any, because everything has capital cost and a maintenance cost that goes with it once you do beautification. So you always have to keep those two things in mind.
Thank you. Thank you to all three of you for being here today, for participating, for being on our panel. I also just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in today's production. You know, standing here and thinking about how Commissioner Mills kicked this meeting off, talking about primarily economic development, prosperity, there is no greater tool to that than transportation and all that is encompassed. And you all highlight that it's a team sport, and I appreciate all of you working with us and working together so well for the residents of not just Georgia but Forsyth County, and it makes a huge difference. Our local economy certainly demonstrates that. And of particular thanks to our Board of Commissioners. Even the technology challenge that the Commissioner mentioned a moment ago that we worked in partnership, that was the Board of Commissioners were incredibly supportive of that. Great partnership project on that. They had some tools at their disposal that we didn't have as a chamber, that GDOT didn't have, and so, like I said, it's a great team sport. So with that, I want to thank you all very much and ask Commissioner Mills if she would come close us out, please.
Just want to thank everybody that helped put this together, our communications department, all of you that made the trip up 400 to join us today, for all the work you do, and really just to highlight partnership, the partnerships that we have been able to put together. As Commissioner McMurray said, a few years ago, we didn't have any of these projects coming forward. I know former Commissioner Tam was in the room, and we had that meeting back a few years ago at GDOT, and Commissioner McMurray said, we help those that help themselves, is a good way to look at it. And we didn't have those projects coming forward that, John, we really, truly are so blessed, and the voters helped get us there, or did get us there. Without the bond, we would not have that, and we are so grateful for it. We're blessed to have these projects to talk about and the partnerships that we've been able to form with the extra money that we've been able to leverage. Mr. Bowen, he is such a blessing and has helped so many times when people call and complain. It's so wonderful to have district office to call and just to be able to help and work together, and having the chamber to work together on events like this. Partnerships are what it's all about, and I'm thankful to get to be a small part of it. And thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to continuing this in the future. Thanks so much.